Downtime podcast is brought to you by BVM Motor. Shop online or in-store for great deals and get professional advice on your favourite bikes, parts, clothing and accessories.
I'm a bit nervous. We haven't done this for ages.
No, we haven't done this for a very long time. So see if we can remember how to talk. And if you can remember how to work that thing you've got over there.
Yeah, it took me a little while to turn it on. I was pressing the button in too long and I thought we'd broken it, but I've got it going again now, so we're all good. Right, it is March 2026. We haven't done one of these for a while. We've got the podcast rigged up at the shop on the counter and we've just been so busy. It's been hard to actually find an hour or even half an hour spare to do something like this, isn't it?
It has. It's always difficult kind of finding time to do the extra bits and pieces, if you like, because when the shop's open, it's can be quite busy with phone calls and people coming to the counter and things, which is obviously good. But yeah, we can't really be doing... It's awkward enough doing a podcast, just the two of us with the shop closed, isn't it? So you don't really want some customer coming in to look at you while you're...
True.
While you're talking.
Although the whole idea of it being on the counter was, if we got the odd interesting person through, to actually try and catch them for a talk, but it just hasn't worked out yet. But that could still happen. You'll get the right time and the right people with it not all going on at the same time. We might be able to get it sorted.
Yeah, we've got a couple of people hopefully lined up for that, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the future, maybe one day.
So, like this year, really, the only kind of championship that's really got going so far is the S3 Parts National Championship, which you've done all the rounds again so far. I haven't done any this year. I was planning on doing the first few, but I ended up being really ill. I got some type of virus whilst those few events that I was booked in to do were on, so I've unfortunately haven't done any. I'll try and get to a couple later in the year with you, but yeah, it's not really worked out for me. But how's it been going so far?
Yeah, it's been going good. Just to say, Craig was properly ill. You know, people kind of like saying he's a bit of a wimp for not doing them, but he did look pretty ill.
Yeah. I lost was it 2 or 3 kilograms in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I was not good.
Yeah, it's
not good
definitely
at all.
one
We
of
won't
them.
go into the details of it, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, not good. But yeah, generally speaking, good. Yeah, I always enjoy kind of an S3 round, you know, whether I ride good, bad, whether it's a kind of a bad S3 round is still a bloody good trial, basically.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing as a bad S3 round. Yeah. I started with the Colmore. That was the first round this year, which is always, it's always a mud fest, basically. So yeah, a lot of the kind of traditional kind of S3 trials that are up north are very much rocky streams, but the Colmore, there's kind of about 3 or 4 rocks in a disused quarry, but that's about it. It's pretty much flat out in 3rd and 4th gear all day, which it most definitely was this year.
And after that, you had the Wallace, again, a bit more like our terrain that we have round this way.
Yeah, I'd say the Wallace is the closest to kind of the terrain we ride week in, week out. The Colmore is, it's very big kind of muddy banks, which we do have the occasional trial around here where it's like that. But a lot of our trials are a bit more tighter, a bit less muddy, because obviously we ride all year and it does tend to, sometimes it's dry, very rarely at the moment, but yeah, occasionally it's dry. So the Wallace is kind of Seymour's Arena, which is kind of man-made kind of concrete. And then the rest of the trial is kind of tight nadgery kind of banks that are, they're never particularly long, kind of you're not flat out in 4th gear.
Very technical type of trial, I always think.
Yeah.
Probably the most technical trial of the year. Not necessarily, when I say technical, it's not necessarily the hardest trial of the year, but it's very technical for manoeuvring the bike around, I'd say.
It's the most hopping trial of the year for definite. It's kind of, when you kind of get up north, it's more flowing streams and it's not an advantage to hop at all. You might maybe lift the front or pull the back once, but generally speaking, you just want to keep moving. But the Wallace is very much, there are several sections where you're kind of properly kind of hopping no stop, which, we won't go into that, whether you stop a little bit or whatever, because we'd be here all day. But generally speaking, that's the closest to our terrain that we ride, and always kind of, you can feel quite confident going into the Wallaces because you kind of know what you're going to get from, it's very similar to what we ride week in, week out. And you think, I kind of got this. This should be kind of my easiest national, or best result national, because it's, you've got a bit of an advantage there. Kind of, this is what I ride every weekend of the year, basically.
Yeah, and to be fair, you've done quite well at those first 2 rounds. You've been in the points both.
Yeah, been in the
ones?
points at both rounds. I got beaten by a couple of really kind of older mud specialists in the Colmore, kind of guys well into their, stop that alarm going off, guys well into their kind of 60s, I imagine, who managed to show that they can still ride in the mud. Because there are riders who really specialise, or they can just, for burning for mud, finding grip, kind of, they don't kind of do any trick riding, they can just do it. And
that's kind of like the beauty, I think, of that championship, don't it? Like, I know we've been saying about the Wallace is a very technical trail, like Hoppy, and Colmore's real muddy, and then go up north, you get to ride all the terrains, and it's quite interesting to see, like, at certain events, there's certain people that you need to watch, like, their potential for, like, round winners.
Definitely.
And then there's like other riders who are kind of can do it all.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the master of any particular one, but can just solid, and do it all. Which I'd say I was last year. I'd say that's what I was half all right at. Is like I was able to ride all the terrains, not necessarily the best at any of them, but like be able to do each type of style of riding.
Yeah.
And I think it's highlighted a bit this year, like not in the over 40s quite as much, but in the clubman, like look at Jack Stiles.
Yeah.
Like, did he win the first 2 or have a first and a second?
I think he had definitely won the Colmore.
Yeah.
Again, second year he's won the Colmore.
Yeah. And then I think he was right up there with either first or second in the Wallace as well.
Yeah.
And yet, Jackie's a really, really good rider, but I hope he won't be offended by saying, like, he's not very good on the rocks.
No.
When you look at him in the third round, he did have an early number, but he was quite low down, and he was quite low down in some of the rounds last year when it comes to rocky streams. But you've got someone like David Maurer who can kind of do it all. Like, I don't think his strongest point is the mud, but he could still get quite high up in the overalls at those rounds, and yet he was a really early number at is it the Milthorp?
Yeah, the Milthorp, yeah.
And yet he was, top 3?
I think he was second.
Second, yeah. Like,
yeah. And that was from number 1.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Yeah. So and there was a lot of slippy streams there.
Yeah.
So you have got to be able to do it all. It's something I can't really ride the streams that well. I suspect kind of riders see me ride a stream and think, oh my God, what is he doing? But I never feel that I'm the right speed, and I feel I'm never online. I'm fighting every inch of the stream. And then you watch a good kind of stream, northern stream rider, and they're just at that perfect pace, letting the bike do all the work, and they just flow up this stream. And even the easy ones, I feel like I've bounced off every rock and kind of maybe kept my feet up and still got the same result, but used a lot more energy and just haven't done it well. I kind of feel I was like, I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow. I'm never at that real nice speed that...
Personally, like someone who watches you ride a lot, I think you can ride it. I just think you try to be too precise.
Yeah.
Literally in a stream, I'll have like 3 focus points, maybe into a section. I just aim for it. Like a bit more of a bull in a china shop and get it, where I think you're trying to be too nice almost sometimes, rather than just wing it.
I think it's something that a little bit like my size and strength makes a difference as well. I was talking to Brian Francis, who I think he won the Wallace. I think Phil Whiffin's leading the over 40s. Brian Francis is second, and he's a similar kind of like build to me. He's very fit guy.
But he's not the biggest, is he?
He's not the biggest, and he was kind of saying like how he thinks for people our size, we get knocked offline a bit easier because we're, I'm not as strong as you. You're kind of. Your arms are probably double the size of mine, so straight away you've got a massive advantage.
Yeah.
And I do wonder whether, we've talked about this at length, haven't we? How our different size of rider makes a difference to like the performance of the bike and stopping in the streams, and kind of I never feel that I'm like strong enough on a bike riding the stream.
True.
And like you say, I do try and be too precise. I try and ride every rock, and people don't do that. If you watch the northern guys kind of flow a bit more, they ride the whole stream compared to I'm like up that rock, up that rock, up that rock, and just try and always been my weakness of maybe trying to ride trials too nice, if you like, rather than just get it done. You know, I've always like, I want to like do it, but I also want to do it so it's in control and in a good way, rather than like I just want to keep my feet on the pegs.
I feel like I'd like to be that type of rider, but I'm definitely more one that not the prettiest to watch ride. But I'd rather get the clean than make it look good. I probably look awful in some stuff, but as long as I've got my feet up, I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a whole kind of, if you look at like the cycle trials, like the street cycle trials in particular, like people like Ali Clarkson, and you know, they kind of like they do a section and then they complain that haven't done it in a nice way.
Yeah,
and,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I'm not to like that degree, but you know, I never want to slam my brakes on when I come out the top of a hill. I want to like get to the top of the hill at the right speed. But you know, it's kind of it's just always how I've kind of ridden, I guess, and too old to kind of really change it now.
Yeah. So one of the things I thought we could do to let people know, again, like we're big fans, as you probably all know, of that S3 National Championship. And last year is the first year that both of us had done like the full championship, that we rode every round.
Mm-hmm. It's the first year I've ever done a full like national championship.
Yeah,
you kind of ride every round of a series.
Yeah, I think that was the same for me. I think I don't know if one year I did a full year of British Championships. I think in 2009, I think I rode every round. But apart from that, last year was the first time I'd ever ridden every single round of that national championship. We better get in there that I did win.
Yeah, I did win. Yeah,
I can't go a day without telling somebody that.
Yeah, it took him about a month to take his medal off. He was just walking around with his medal on.
I still wear it around the house. Yeah. And I have to be called champ.
Is that what your wife and children call you? Is it champ?
But what we thought we'd do anyway is try and tally up like a rough idea of how much last year's S3 Championship cost us in total. I'm a bit quick on the old maths front, so we'll run through it. So last year, how many rounds were there? There was 8, wasn't there?
I think there was 8. The Wallace was cancelled, wasn't there?
Yeah,
so it was probably going to be 9, and then there was 8 rounds in total.
And like entry fee roughly is around £35 for those, wasn't it?
Yeah, they seem to put up a little bit to 40 for a few this year.
Okay,
but it's still, I think that's, you know, you're riding for like 6.5, 7 hours.
It's 100% bang for buck for sure.
You know, people thought, it's much more than 20 quid for a club trial. It's like, why you get much more?
Yeah. So let's say last year there was 8 rounds at £35. That's £280 just in entry fees for last year. And then tyres, I mean, personally, I had a fresh edge for each event. So basically one tyre would do 2 events. And depending on the actual event, that tyre was normally screwed after those events.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd still be usable at other events, but I'd say me, with my kind of aggressive riding style, they weren't lasting too long. So if we say like 4 tyres for the year, 4 rear tyres, say roughly speaking, so that's 140 times 4. Yeah. So that was £560. Add the 280, so that's £840 so far.
Yeah.
And that's like... And then fuel. We shared, didn't we? We obviously went together to cut the fuel prices down.
And then we even managed to fill our extra space in the van with a couple of different people during the year, didn't we? We had Ryan for 1, maybe 2 rounds.
True, yeah.
And we had Brett King for another round. So we were really trying to save as much as possible with that.
Yeah. So if we say we'd do it for, say, like one person, so that was So roughly, we worked it out. It's about £35 each, weren't we?
Yeah, that's if you're splitting it.
That's if you're splitting it. Yeah.
That's
So
a
this
very
is for like
rough-
one individual, very roughly. Obviously, it all depends on where you live in the country and where the rounds were. But that's again another £280 to add to it. So that's going up now. Oh God, £1,120.
Oh, yeah.
And then one event we stayed at an Airbnb, didn't we?
Yeah, that was like a 120 quid, I think.
Yeah, I'd say realistically, we should have probably done that twice in the year.
Yeah, maybe even 3 times.
Yeah, I'd say definitely the Gerald Simpson that we went to, that was silly. We were like, it took us half the event to actually wake up.
Yeah.
We'd left at like 3 in the morning,
I
4
think,
in the morning, something like
that.
that.
It was really early, that one.
So yeah, that was like, how much was that Airbnb? Can you remember?
120 quid.
120 quid. So half that, 60. We're at £1,180.
And you probably got some like McDonald's, like, you know.
Don't know
Greg,
about you. I'm a true athlete. I don't have McDonald's.
Well, we had Greg's breakfast, didn't we? Because you won the first round on a Greg's breakfast, so then we had to have Greg's on every round.
Yeah, we did. How much is a Greg's breakfast? Under about a £5, roughly?
Probably about a fiver, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we were worried for the last round because we couldn't actually find a Greg's, could we?
We actually had to do a major detour.
Yeah.
And like we almost ended up late to the event because we had to find a Greg's.
Yeah.
And that was your one job.
Yeah, and it wasn't where it said it was either. We put the postcode in and we ended up on some in some factory warehouse type place. And it was like, oh no, we might not be actually getting our Greg's.
So let's say for there and back, we'd probably spend about a tenner on food at each event.
Yeah.
So that's an extra £80 then we need to add to it.
And then you probably got a tenner of bike fuel as well.
What, per event?
Yeah. Well, it's about it's gone up at the moment, hasn't it? But
yeah, true.
It's about like 9 quid maybe to fill up a 5 litre can, and you pretty much use the full 5 litres, wouldn't you?
Yeah, true. So adding that as well, we're at £1,340.
I reckon it's more like 15 if you add on a few
add
extra expense.
on the extra bits and pieces you need, like grips, stuff like that you're going to wear through.
Yeah.
So it's not that cheap in some respects. If you had to like outlay that in one hit, but spread across the year, it's not too bad. You're kind of really like £120 a month you're spending on that championship, which isn't that bad really for a national championship.
Not when you think of like what other sports cost, like enduro, motocross, road racing. I feel you're getting quite. It doesn't. I don't feel that hard up after doing all the rounds. I haven't really like noticed loads of money going out the bank.
True. And to be fair, that's us trying to be really competitive.
Yeah, but also really tight as well.
Yeah, but like a lot of people wouldn't necessarily have a fresh edge tyre for every event. Yeah, some people will only go a few, but I think that's like a decent kind of. You could go a bit cheaper than that, and you could also spend a lot more than that if you wanted. But I'd say that's a good average. I'd say.
I think it is. I think it's interesting. You don't necessarily need a brand new bike. We do sell them at BVM, but the over 40 class was won by a guy on probably a 2015 beta, is it? Maybe 2016? Yeah,
Richard Gaskell. Yeah, it's a few years old. Exactly. Trials bikes these days, they're so good.
Well, even the year before, Ben Skinner, he won it, didn't he, on a 2021 Vertigo? Yeah.
You don't have to be on the brand new bike for sure. Like if the bike's been well looked after, you could win. Let's face it, you could win that on I bet you could put Richard Gaskell on an 09 Beta Evo. That's if it's nice and tidy and been well maintained, and I bet he could be just as competitive. Really,
that's a good thing about trials. When you consider you've done like a national championship for, like 1,500 quid, it puts events like I know there's been talk online and things of people asking why certain riders aren't doing the Scottish and things, but the entry fee for the Scottish is now like 800 quid, something like that, 700 quid, and that's much. You could almost do a full year of kind of S3s for the amount of doing the Scottish 6-day basically. Yeah,
definitely. Personally, roughly, I don't think you can do Scotland for less than £3,000 that week. When you factor in accommodation, your bike spares and such.
Yeah.
For 1 week's worth of riding.
Yeah,
But I would highly recommend anyone doing it.
I think the thing is with Scotland as well is when you spend so much money on entry fees, accommodation from like down here getting there, you know, it's kind of you end up spending that extra 50, 60, 70 quid on, you know, some decent waterproof trousers or, you know, whatever. You're already so deep into it, you know, you want to spend that extra to make sure your week's as good as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Because unfortunately, if you don't complete the event, it's not any cheaper. Do you know what I mean? You don't get any. There's no refunds. There's nothing like that. So, if you're going to do the event, you might as well do it properly. Yeah, for sure. So should that do then for roundup on the S3 so far? Like I say, 3 rounds in. Did we talk about the Milthorp, really?
No, we could talk a little bit about the Milthorp.
That was the third round, wasn't it? Which was a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah, there was a bit of... The Milthorp was a good trial. We were, you know, brilliant scenery. I think they've got some of the best land, to be honest, because they've got everything from rocky streams to muddy banks, rocky outcrops. So yeah, it was a good day out. Really enjoyed it. The club, unfortunately, did have a little small, well, depending on how competitive you are, an issue with the time. Basically, there wasn't a final time control, so there's a little bit of kind of controversy backwards and forwards about that. You know, kind of. I don't think they knew who was in time and who was out of time. So currently, there is no time limit for the event, and all the time faults were scrapped, which is. The club wouldn't have wanted that situation, and I feel a bit sorry for them.
Yeah, definitely. I feel sorry for them because whatever happened, like they put in a hell of a lot of work and effort as to go into running that event, and we need those people in that event. So, yeah, I do feel sorry for them, but it wasn't great at the same time, unfortunately.
No. Can we hear that or not? But yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, it's a difficult one because the riders are spending kind of quite a lot of money to do the events and all of that side of things. But in any level of trials, like the organisers are all volunteers, which I think is something that a lot of people forget. You know, even at club level, national level, is anyone really making money from, you know, organising a British Championship event? I doubt it, really.
No, exactly.
Maybe the World Round, but then there's masses of outlay for the World Round, isn't there? You know, I don't know if they look at it and think, oh, I made a good profit on that. So yeah, it's particularly at like the S3 level, all the organisers are volunteers. So it only takes one kind of like small issue, and it can be a bit. Yeah.
I still think, do you reckon in the end it would have been better to have not had a result at all at that event? Or I think for there having to be a result, I think that's the only thing they could have done is what they've done.
Yeah, I think so.
Which I know isn't ideal, but I think if I'd spent all that money and gone all that way, even if there were, like, say, the issues with the time, I'd rather there still be an end result.
It's hard because I can't speak for the expert class, but I was riding at number 17. We didn't really have any queues. The streams were pretty slippery, but they were being cleaned like around me, so to speak. And the actual rocky outcroppy banks, I think, would have got harder. And like Dave Maurer was in time because he finished literally just in front of me. Started as number 1 and was second.
Yeah.
But I think the later clubmen apparently had quite a lot of queues, and then that's a bit frustrating when they're like missing sections to get in on time, which we never really had to do. But no one will ever know, will they? It's just a pity. It's just something that, you know, the clerk of the course has like issued an apology, and I think they'll look at what went wrong and sort it out for. Yeah,
I'm sure next year they'll that definitely won't happen again, and it'll just be another cracking event like they normally run.
Yeah, because there are a lot of nationals. You don't just have to do the S3s. You know, there's a lot of like it was the Cleveland the week after that. You know, I know Brett King, who was helping out, kind of doing our support at the Milthorp. You know, him and his son Will went back up north to do the Cleveland the next week. You know, so there's a lot of nationals on as well, you know, so yeah, you don't have to kind of just stick to the S3 rounds.
Yeah, that is true. That is something that this year I'm going to try and do, is a few nationals that aren't necessarily classed as the S3 ones. Like, well, in a few weeks I'm going up to Scotland to the Alba. Cannot leave, and it is a classic event, but it's like a national up there that, to be honest, I hadn't heard that much about until recently. There are so many trials out there. I think it'd be good for us to try and explore a bit more and see what they're about as well. But you're still planning on doing a few more of the S3s, maybe not all of them.
No,
but
I won't do all of them because I won't have a kind of travelling companion to go to.
Don't make me feel bad.
Yeah, you are to go to them all. But I'll do a fair few. I've entered the Lomax and the Chris Carter. So yeah, and I'll do some like local trials throughout the year because we need to, you know, our local, you know, to keep kind of riding the local trials. We see a lot of our local customers there and can deliver bits and pieces to the trials, which is good. You know, save people on postage.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. I think that would do for our kind of warming back up into podcasting again.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's a short one, but we're just trying to get things rolling again and hopefully bring a bit more content throughout the year. So thank you all very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Keep up to date by following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Done. No, it wasn't too bad.
We actually got into a bit of a flow.
Yeah.